After a weeks-long Capitol trial, the man convicted of the deadly killing spree is going to prison for the rest of his life. News 19 broke the sentencing of Frederick Rogers online. In this case, known as the 7 Deadly Sins murders, is the first of 2 expected trials. News 19 investigative reporter Dallas Parker's covered this from the beginning and joins us with more from the attorneys on both sides here.
That's right. The jury deliberated for 2.5 hours over 2 days before coming back around 10:30 this morning with a sentence of life in prison without parole for Frederick Rogers. Very little reaction from Rogers, though, in the courtroom. His mother let out a sigh of relief, and many of the victims' family members were quiet, their faces betraying little emotion. The 8-woman, 4-man jury could have given Rogers a death penalty, but only 2 of the 12 voted for that sentence. 10 jurors said that Rogers should be in prison for the rest of his life. Now, there were 7 people killed in June 2020 at a home in Vallehermosa Springs. Rogers admitted to shooting 4 of those individuals and said his friend John Legg shot 3 others. Rogers was found guilty August 28th of capital murder, and last week during the sentencing phase, jurors heard extended testimony about Rogers' difficult childhood, that he has bipolar disorder, and multiple family members said he was loving and the crimes was out of his character. Attorneys on both sides thanked the jury, but had different opinions on the outcome.
I think the jury did their job. I think they went about their job well. Even if we disagree with the verdict, I think this case was tried fairly by both sides, the defense and the prosecution, and that's really all we can ask in any case.
You know, I think justice without violence was done today, and I don't believe in the death penalty. That's what's personal to me. I just personally don't believe it. If we are a pro-life state, you know, that's pro-life from birth to death, even if the baby turns out to be a killer.
This case took about a month to try, and the prosecution says the length of a trial can weigh on the jury, and this jury had a lot of information to digest. In the end, the group decided Rogers should spend the rest of his life in an Alabama prison rather than on death row. Coming up on News 19 at 5, we spoke with Rogers' mother, who sat through the entire trial from start to end and testified on his behalf.
News 19 Chief Investigative Reporter Brian Lawson joins us now with more analysis of this case.
And Brian, 7 people died in this incident. You've covered a lot of trials. Are you surprised the jury did not recommend the death penalty?
I think when you hear the facts of the case, as you said, there were 7 victims. Your first thought is, wow, that if there's ever going to be a death penalty case, it's something like this. But what happened over the course of the trial is the jury had essentially 2 pictures. There was the trial proper, where there's a lot of physical evidence. There were autopsy photos or descriptions of victim injuries, that kind of thing. And they found him guilty, you know, that he definitely killed those people, at least 4 of them, he said. But then there was another week and a half in this case where the defense was largely able to present another picture of Fred Rogers. That is that he was, as Dallas had just reported, he had mental health issues. He had family members testify that he had been a good person for as long as they knew him, that he had a troubled childhood. And at the end of that video, they were able to show him looking at the person interviewing him and describing his life situation, the difficulties he had with that. And I think it was essentially him talking directly to the jury, and it clearly moved them.
2.5 hours of deliberation here, 2 different stretches from what I understand. What do we make of that?
Again, I think the prosecution referred to this. There's got to be a fatigue factor. I mean, this was 2 weeks from the conviction, 4 weeks from the start of the trial. Those people had to deal with a lot of information, and it seemed clear that if you've tracked their timing, that they made up their minds over the weekend in some respects, heard the final arguments, and were ready to go.
And piggybacking off of that, this effort to keep him alive and not get a death sentence was large and deep, and it worked. Give us a sense of what they did going in and through the background.
You know, we heard from multiple family members of Fred Rogers. We heard from former teachers, from his former bus driver. There were discussions about his school record, his Beta Club membership, things that sort of seem strange in a murder case, but they formed another picture of this man that the jury had only known as essentially this monster figure, and he became something else. And I think that proved to be really effective. One other thing, though, when we think about the death penalty, that's years of appeals and that sort of thing. Life without parole in an Alabama prison, it's an incredibly harsh sentence. He's 26 years old. He's almost 27. Life expectancy is 72 in Alabama. He's looking at 50 years or so in prison with no hope of getting out.
30 seconds left. Any conclusions here for the John Legg trial?
Well, John Legg is a co-defendant. They haven't set a trial date for him. There's some question about whether John Legg will offer a mental health defense. He needed a mental health evaluation. They haven't returned that back yet. Fred Rogers was seen, though, as a ringleader in this case. So I don't know what that means with John Legg. You know, one other thing, though, there were 7 people killed in this, and sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. And I want to go ahead and say their names one more time. There was James Benford, who was 22, Dakota Green, who was 17, William Zane Hodgen, who was 18, Roger Jones Jr., 19, Tamala England Muzzy, 45, Emily Payne, 21, and Jeremy Roberts, who was 31. Just an incredible toll.
All right, thank you, Brian. And again, as Brian said, 7 people died in this incident. We'll keep you covered with anything else that comes up down the road on this. Thank you, Brian.